Most of August 1st of 2007 went by as a normal Tuesday in Minnesota. However, on the I-35W Mississippi River Bridge in Minneapolis, trouble was brewing. Rush hour traffic was surging across the bridge as it had twice daily since November of 1967. Ongoing road construction bottlenecked traffic due to closed lanes on both sides of the bridge. And without warning, at 6:05 p.m., disaster struck.
The bridge had collapsed. 111 vehicles plunged into the river and adjacent area with the bridge. 145 people were injured and 13 were killed. As luck would have it, the Minnesota Department of Transportation, or MnDOT, and local officials had extensively planned out and practiced emergency response plans and built communication systems for catastrophes, including building and bridge collapses. As such, Minneapolis, Hennepin County, MnDOT, the state of Minnesota, and many neighboring communities boasted an excellent response to this sudden emergency, certainly saving lives in the process. But regardless of how quick and effective response was, one huge question remains. How on earth did the bridge collapse? First, we have to start with what was going on when the failure took place. The collapse occurred at 6:05 p.m. during the evening rush hour, not to mention that this occurred in the downtown of the busiest city in Minnesota. About 140,000 vehicles crossed this bridge daily, and at this point in the day was when a significant portion of those crossed. Additionally, roughly 578,000 pounds of construction equipment and material laid on the bridge for road work, adding stress to the bridge. However, these things added together shouldn't have been enough to bring the bridge down by themselves. That said, we're going to have to dig a bit deeper for the primary cause. In previous years, the bridge had been cited for failure to meet various safety standards as well as for corroding rebar within the bridge in a separate citation. As a result, upgrades were made to the medians and railings, and about 2 inches of concrete was poured over the corroding rebar. These two things added over 4 million pounds of dead load to the bridge, a 19.5% increase. However, most significant and probably most terrifying of all was the bridge's gusset plates. These hold the massive steel beams together at their joints and are a primary factor in a bridge's security. The plates on this bridge were excessively thin and provided only half of the resistance required for the bridge due to a design flaw. Additionally, many of those gusset plates were noted in annual inspections to have been bowing. You know, not something you want happening to the pieces holding a bridge together. Making matters worse, the bridge was noted for not having much structural redundancy in the main trusses of the bridge, meaning a failure in one key place was likely to result in the failure of the entire bridge. The National Transportation Safety Board, or NTSB, concluded in its report on the incident that this was the primary factor in the collapse. A recipe for disaster brewing ever since the blueprints were being drawn.
Behind me stands the St. Anthony Falls Bridge in Minneapolis, the replacement for the I-35W Mississippi River Bridge. This new bridge was designed to last until about 2108. I say new, but in reality this bridge is already about 16 years old. Unlike the last bridge, this one was constructed with the future in mind. Wide shoulders, extra lanes, and even designated areas for buses and light rail in case they're ever implemented in the future. That way, modifications don't have to be made to the bridge if light rail is ever added, which could possibly bring the structural integrity into question. High-performance concrete was used in the construction of the bridge, as well as other structural enhancements and redundancies should any part of the bridge fail. That way, the bridge is as safe as it can possibly be, and in case one part of the bridge fails, there are still other redundancies to fall back on and fail-safes to make sure that the bridge is still safe until repairs can be made. The bridge also has a high-tech system of over 300 sensors to monitor any fluctuations in its structure. The bridge also features decorative LED nighttime lighting and a special set of concrete pillars meant to resemble the symbols for water on a map. Quite intriguingly, the pillars are made of a material called TX active concrete, which reacts with ultraviolet rays to suck chemicals out of the air that are typically emitted from passing vehicles. Obviously, this isn't going to have a revolutionary impact environmentally, considering there's only 2 of them, but I look at it as a beautiful way of showing the bridge giving a little bit of good back to the world in the wake of how many lives the previous one took with it. The pillars also feature a special compound that self-cleans the structures, meaning, in theory, they should stay clean for their entire lifetime.
The I-35W Mississippi River Bridge collapse highlighted a growing problem across the United States. Over 40% of bridges in the U.S. are over 50 years old, and about 8% of them are reported to be structurally deficient. Roughly 700 bridges in the U.S. were reported to be similar in construction to the I-35W bridge in Minneapolis. Minnesota had a few similar bridges to the one on I-35W that collapsed. On one bridge in particular, the DeSoto Bridge in St. Cloud, quarter-inch buckles were found in its own gusset plates, unfortunately confirming the suspicions that similar bridges had the same issues. That bridge was soon replaced with a much more redundant and secure one. Since the I-35W bridge failure in 2007, 26 partial or entire bridge collapses have occurred in the U.S. alone. A freakishly close call made national headlines back in 2021 when a massive crack was discovered on the Hernando de Soto Bridge connecting Memphis, Tennessee and West Memphis, Arkansas, also across the Mississippi River. Not to be confused with the similarly named DeSoto Bridge back in St. Cloud, Minnesota. Scarily, the crack had been apparently either overlooked or brushed off for a number of years and was even visible in a photo taken on a kayak in 2016, about 5 years earlier. If action isn't taken, these issues will only continue to cause major failures, inevitably leading to more deaths. Bridge maintenance can be expensive, but the alternative to regular intense maintenance is letting a bridge crumble until it collapses. In November of 2021, the bipartisan infrastructure deal was passed by Congress. Among multiple things to receive federal funding from this deal were U.S. roads and bridges. $110 billion were allocated to this fund to help repair and rebuild crumbling bridges across the country. This deal will help to lower the average age of bridges and the number of structurally deficient ones across the country. As time goes on, only time will tell whether more federal funding will come for U.S. infrastructure and whether U.S. bridges will be safer or more dangerous to cross. With the 2024 U.S. election coming up fast, it's critical for civilians to research their candidates' views on issues like this and make an educated vote so that we can all come together as a team and help keep our nation's bridges and roads safe for many years to come.
This one was constructed with the future in mind. Wide lanes, wide shoulders. That one's going in the bloopers.